Jennette Welter-Fichtel. I work at Kencom 911 Dispatch Center in Kendall County, Illinois. I just had my 28th anniversary. I've been an operator here the entire time since I began.
911, what's your emergency?
Jennette took a 911 call from a distraught woman whose loved one was unconscious, and she told Jennette she didn't know what to do.
I was the call-taking position that day, and it was early afternoon. I get the initial call, and I don't recall her exact words that began, but it was immediately obvious that there was a serious problem at the home.
Through Jennette's very skillful questioning, she was able to determine that the patient was not having a seizure, not choking, and needed CPR.
I believe she said her fiance was not breathing, or he was down, there was something wrong with him. I did question her as to what she thought might have happened. Was he having a seizure? Was he choking? What was he doing, prior to him going down?
The caller was scared, confused, panicked, and thought her loved one was slipping away before her eyes.
With following our procedures for the questions that we ask, he was not conscious and he was not breathing normally, and at that point it was evident that he needed CPR.
Now it's up to Jennette to determine if the caller knows how to do CPR. If not, she will have to walk her through the process step by step.
We do ask if they're familiar with CPR, do they know how to do it? If you don't, I can walk you through step by step, and that's what we did. She had never performed CPR before.
When he was in position, she directed the caller to give chest compressions to her fiancé. For the next 6.5 minutes, Jennette stayed actively engaged with the caller, all while she is typing information into the CAD system to keep fire and police informed.
I'm walking her through the steps that needs to be taken as I'm typing in the information in our CAD system, which is then transferred the information to the fire operator as well as the police operator, and everyone's en route at this point.
One of the things that stood out about this call was how masterfully Jennette was able to recognize when the caller's distress was peaking, and how during those moments she was able to keep her focused on helping her fiancé.
The reality of what is happening is entering her mind, and instead of going on autopilot, she begins to cry. She's quite upset with what's happening, and we just have to bring her back as that this is a task that needs to be completed to give him the best chance.
Jennette was forward-thinking enough to obtain a garage code from the caller so that there would be no interruptions in compressions or delay making entry when responders arrived on the scene.
I had the knowledge that it was just her and her fiance at home. No one else was going to be downstairs to help. I believe I asked if the door was locked, and she said yes, it was. So, how are we going to get in and get in quickly? So I did ask her about the garage code, which she was able to tell me even in her distress. Because the last thing we want her to do is stop compressions to run all the way downstairs to open up that door, because that's time, and this guy didn't have it.
Did this call seem like a lifetime? Did it feel like the first responders were never going to get there?
It felt like a long time, but it didn't. Their home was on the far west side of town, so it was a travel distance for the police as well as the ambulance. So on one hand, it did seem like quite some time for them to respond because of the distance, but we were so actively engaged the entire time, it kind of flew by, actually. She was outstanding, truly. She was a really good listener.
First responders arrive at the home.
Yeah, over the phone you could hear when they entered the room and when help took over. Her fiance never regained consciousness during the duration of the call, and CPR was carried out until those first responders arrived in the room.
The moment Jennette is confident the caller is in good hands, and she knows she is able to disconnect the 911 call.
Well, once I see on our CAD that the fire department is on scene, as well as hearing their voices in the background, then that allows me to go ahead and disconnect with the caller because I know that help has arrived.
What thoughts are racing through Jennette's mind?
Like, man, I'm gonna be looking for this guy's obituary. I was really thinking this guy doesn't have a chance. He's done.
The call ends. What next? How does a dispatcher process after a call like this?
With some calls, absolutely. Some operators do take a moment and then pick up right where you left off. With this one, no, I just went to the next call, but I was feeling a bit sad because I thought for sure he was not going to make it.
Like many 911 dispatchers, it's no surprise Jennette would be left wondering what happened in the end. Then they get the call.
She actually had called our director here at Kencom and wanted to relay that he in fact had lived. I believe he ended up having a triple bypass. Was that I was able to get her through doing what needed to be done to help her fiance.
Undoubtedly, this man is alive today because of Jennette's quick thinking, skillful direction with the CPR, and the tenacity to get the caller through the longest 6 minutes of her life.
It truly does boil down to I enjoy helping the community. It's a cliche answer, but I do. I enjoy the people that I work with, the officers, the fire departments, the public. It's just truly something that I believe in my heart that's just what I was meant to do, and I just do it, and I do it well.